Well, I'll tell you what, 8 teams remain in divisional round weekend across the NFL out of 32, of course, in the entire league. And everybody seems to be talking about your team, the Baltimore Ravens, who have a chance to go back to the AFC Championship game. And maybe, just maybe, if Houston takes care of business and pulls off one of the all-time upsets, host a second consecutive AFC Championship game in Baltimore. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Everybody's talking about this game. Everybody's talking about your team. And that's exactly what we have coming up over the course of the next hour. Welcome inside the channel. I'm bobtrosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. It is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. Cannot stress enough, if you are interested in getting the home buying process started, if you are interested in helping me and the channel out, click on the link that's at the top of the show notes and learn more about what's going on at PRMI. More on that in just a bit. Brian Snyder will be dropping by in about 20 minutes or so to talk a little bit about the options that are still available if you want to make a last-minute trip, by the way, to Buffalo. And that's right, Be More Around Town. Brian is the owner of the premier road trip, tailgate, and experience company here in the Baltimore area, and I look forward to traveling with him yet again. There is a day trip option that's available right now at bemorearoundtown.com, and there also is a tailgate only on game day option, meaning if you're just going to be up and around in the Western New York area, maybe you live up in that area, you want to come in for the day and experience a game day tailgate, you can do exactly that. All that information and more is at bemorearoundtown.com. But tonight we begin with Ed Reed, the GOAT. Number 20 is on his media tour, courtesy of DirecTV. I exchanged a couple texts with his agent earlier today. In all honesty, I was trying to get him on the vault, and unfortunately, we just couldn't make it happen. He is becoming the new offensive coordinator at his son's high school football program down there in, I think, Chamblee, Georgia. Is that what it is? I believe it's Chamblee. And so not only is he promoting, getting back into the coaching ranks, but he's talking a little bit about this matchup that we're all anticipating. And maybe, just maybe, he ruffled some feathers within the Bills Mafia Nation, having this to say on the Kay Adams Show earlier today.
If I'm looking at Buffalo and I'm looking at Baltimore and I'm looking at it from what would I be worried about as a Ravens fan, Josh Allen's legs. Can you stop Josh from running?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, you can stop Josh from running. Just you can stop any quarterback from running if you know what to do on defense. If you got the players that can stop it. Baltimore has they both have a decent advantage. Lamar's in Baltimore and they practice against him all the time. So they know what they're about to face on both sides. This is playoff football. You know what I'm saying? But it's on us right now. So let's go get it. You know what I'm saying? We got to go
but
get it.
I want to watch the Rob Ryan YouTube video that you're hosting telling me how you would stop Josh Allen. You've done it, but I mean, you stopped running quarterbacks your whole life. We were looking at a 2013 as a Jet. You stopped Cam Newton back in 2013. You held him in check.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
I mean, like I said, it depends on your personnel group. Like we were a different personnel group, and I could think about the things we did what we were good at. We were good at pretty much everything. We were good at blitzing. We was good at disguising the blitz, making it look like a blitz, making it look like zone when we blitzing. So we would come at Josh Allen. Josh Allen would have to make throws. He would have to complete the football. Show me he can complete the ball after he's getting hit all day. And it's proven that he can.
So 20 checking in on the Kay Adams Show earlier today, and you heard it there. We would come at Josh Allen. We would come at Josh Allen. Show me he can complete the football after he's getting hit all day, and it's proven that he can't. Some felt like he actually said Ken there at the end of that soundbite, but I'm going to trust Kay in the Up and Adams Twitter account who transcribed what he just said, and sure enough, it reads, and it's proven that he can't. Well, someone who is absolutely going to try to reaffirm that and ultimately prove that Josh can't get past Baltimore's defense for a second consecutive time this season is Agent Zero. Roquan Smith gearing up for yet another postseason run with the Ravens, part of this new look defense, certainly back in week 4. was an outlier for the first 10 weeks, meaning the passing defense and really all three levels, aside from an incredible escape play from Josh Allen and a couple big plays by Khalil Shakir and company, they held Buffalo in check and just 10 points in that Sunday Night Football win. But again, that was an outlier in what was an otherwise really disappointing defensive performance, full body of work-wise, through 10 weeks. Roquan caught up with NFL Network yesterday and had this to say, strategy-wise, entering this rematch with the Bills, this time at their place in Western New York.
Yeah, very excited about this matchup with the Bills, knowing that they're a really good team led by Josh Allen, and then their O-line playing some really good ball as well, and then the running back Cook, been knowing him for very long times, and then guys on the outside who can make a lot of plays. But I think it's going to be very simple for us. We just got to stick to who we are as a group, stopping the run and making those guys one-dimensional, and once you do that, it can create a long day for those guys. That game was that game, and that's week 4, and that was week 4 for a reason. We're not the same team that we were back in week 4. I looked at the film, and I'm like, man, we was playing like this, and I'm sure those guys feel the same way for themselves. So it's about coming out and imposing our will on those guys from the first snap to the last snap. It's very simple, making them one-dimensional, and that's what the run game is about, testing a guy's manhood. So those guys pride themselves on running the ball and to open up everything else for Josh Allen. So we stopped that, and it can be a long day for those guys. So that's our primary focus, and once we do that, it's going to be a long day. But I'm very excited. We'll definitely get up there Saturday afternoon, and we'll be there Sunday night.
Agent Zero, you know how it goes. Sounding like he's ready to strap up right here and now. Quote, it's about coming out and imposing our will on those guys from the first snap to the last snap. That's what the run game is about, testing the guy's manhood. Once we do that, it's going to be a long day, referring to, again, not only stopping the run, but making Josh Allen and this Bills offense one-dimensional. Well, Buffalo Fanatics, a Twitter account that covers the Bills content-wise, decided to attempt to manufacture a little bit of watered down, if you ask me, bulletin board material based on Roquan's comments, and tweeted out that Ravens linebacker Roquan Smith says it's, quote, very simple to stop the Bills offense, with a thinking emoji, okay, ... as if to stir the pot a little bit here. But I got news for you. There's no pot. And if there's no pot, there's nothing to be stirred. What was it about very simple that bothered them? Quote, I think it's going to be very simple for us. We just got to stick to who we are as a group, meaning the strategy that they will deploy going into Sunday night is what's simple, not necessarily executing said strategy against said opponent. It's the strategy itself. Listen to his comments once more and let me know if you feel like these are bulletin board worthy.
Yeah, very excited about this matchup with the Bills, knowing that they're a really good team led by Josh Allen, and then their O-line playing some really good ball as well, and then the running back Cook, been knowing him for very long times, and then guys on the outside who can make a lot of plays. But I think it's going to be very simple for us. We just got to stick to who we are as a group, stopping the run and making those guys one-dimensional, and once you do that, it can create a long day for those guys. That game was that game, and that's week 4, and that was week 4 for a reason. We're not the same team that we were back in week 4. I looked at the film, and I'm like, man, we was playing like this, and I'm sure those guys feel the same way for themselves. So it's about coming out and imposing our will on those guys from the first snap to the last snap. It's very simple, making them one-dimensional, and that's what the run game is about, testing a guy's manhood. So those guys pride themselves on running the ball and to open up everything else for Josh Allen. So we stopped that, and it can be a long day for those guys. So that's our primary focus, and once we do that, it's going to be a long day. But I'm very excited. We'll definitely get up there Saturday afternoon, and we'll be there Sunday night.
Got to be honest with you, this is pretty soft from Buffalo Fanatics. This is what I refer to as manufactured bulletin board material, and if that's something you're hanging your hat on, all power to you. It's not going to end well, though. It's not going to end well. Ardarius Washington had a nice opportunity to catch up with Richard Sherman, one of the greats at his position as a former cornerback, and Ardarius, of course, a former undrafted rookie, now a key piece of Baltimore's defense. he and Sherm talked about a number of things that had to do with Sunday night, in particular with this clip, the weather.
The boy from Shreveport, Louisiana, gonna get ready for this 8-degree weather. I mean, I know you've been in Baltimore long enough, but 8 degrees is 8 degrees.
I'm gonna get ready for it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get ready for it. I'm gonna be out there. We playing football. You know what I mean? So when I'm between those, I ain't thinking about how cold it is. When I get to the sideline, I'm like, okay, maybe a little cold out here. But when I'm out there on that field, hey, I ain't thinking about no weather, man. I'm thinking about making this play right now.
Anybody else sensing a hit stick incoming on Sunday night from Ardarius Washington? Oh, man, just a couple incredible plays. Most recently, getting after Pat Freiermuth, who is 6'6", 250 plus. Ardarius is 5'8", $180, soaking wet. And yet, big stop on third down in that wild card game against Pittsburgh. How about Joe Mixon in the red zone on Christmas night? Russell Wilson the second time around. The Ravens and Steelers met up in the regular season. What a year. What a breakout season for Ardarius. I'm just genuinely happy for that dude. And I thought it was really cool that somebody he idolized growing up, grew up watching Richard Sherman as a Super Bowl champion with the Seattle Seahawks, and now someone who's heavily involved in broadcasting. He extended an invitation to him to come on the show. And if you go and watch it, which you all should, I just finished up watching prior to coming on, Ardarius actually had a chance. Richard gave him a chance at the end of the show to ask him questions. And so it was just kind of a cool moment, mentor-mentee kind of moment. And I just love Ardarius. He's selfless. He's got humility. He's obviously got the heart of a lion, undrafted pride, the physicality of somebody who's 6'8" when he's really 5'8". It's just been a total pleasure watching Ardarius Washington's career unfold, and all he really needed was good health, good fortune, and an opportunity, and that's exactly what he's gotten this year. Ardarius has been banged up in recent seasons. He had a great start to last year, and then his year was over due to a nagging chest injury. And now, obviously, if not for the benching of Marcus Williams, the dismissal of Eddie Jackson, and several other factors, including, most importantly, Ardarius's play, maybe he doesn't even get an opportunity. And maybe he doesn't have an opportunity 31 other places around the league. But all that matters is that he's got a chance, and he's made the absolute most of this chance. And I love the quote there. We play football. When I'm between those whistles, I ain't thinking about how cold it is. When I'm out there on that field, I ain't thinking about no weather, man. I'm thinking about making this play right now. Oh, man. You've done exactly that, Ardarius. Keep it coming. The bright lights will be on come Sunday night. And you and your running mate, Kyle Hamilton, it's going to be a big, big key for not only protecting and providing coverage to guys like Brandon Stevens, who will absolutely, most certainly be picked on by Josh Allen, but holding things down on the back end there, as they've done really since week 10, week 11, that they became running mates after the personnel changes, which really changed the trajectory of Baltimore's season. Speaking of weather, Spencer Brown is an offensive tackle for the Buffalo Bills, and he talked about not only the advantage that he feels like the Bills have given the weather, given the climate, given the familiarity, but also had a request for what he hopes the forecast is come Sunday night. This is ludicrous.
Important is it to be home for a game like this, in general, even for an offense to be able to communicate versus when you're on the road?
Home advantage in the playoffs is massive. That's why everybody wants that one seed along with the bye. But, playing here in our stadium, I think it's one of the hardest environments to play in, especially the playoffs. I think it's about to be 8 degrees or something like that. Hopefully 40-mile-an-hour winds and 3 feet of snow is kind of what I want. But, Bills Mafia will show out. There's no doubt about that. But, look forward to Sunday.
Is this dude nuts? Bills offensive tackle Spencer Brown has a forecast request for Sunday. You can't tell me that he's serious about this. By the way, I listened to every single other press conference made available by the Bills. Several of his teammates, leads you to believe, listening to those, they want absolutely nothing to do with what he's getting after here. Maybe just trying to get himself in the right mind frame. Quote, playing here in our stadium, I think it's one of the hardest environments to play in, especially in the playoffs. I think it's about to be 8 degrees. hopefully 40-mile-an-hour winds and 3 feet of snow is kind of what I want. Listen, Spencer, I think you're probably going to want to check in with the other side of the ball, with your defense, particularly your defensive tackles and your linebackers, who are going to have to handle, if that ends up coming to fruition, your requested forecast. Derrick Henry coming at them full speed downhill with that devilish, evil look in his eye. You sure your teammates, you want to put your teammates through that in that kind of weather? It's already going to be single digits. It's already going to be a violent wind chill. Are you sure? And I agree, Raven for Life 716. The cold helps us, not them, referring us as in Baltimore. There's no question. And you think about the average size of overall mass and human being that the Ravens have at their arsenal, not only up and down the offensive line, but with their tight ends and their 300-plus pound fullback, Pat Ricard, not to mention the king in the backfield as well, and the elusiveness of Lamar, Keaton, Rashad, so on and so forth. We'll have an update on Zay Flowers in just a bit. This to me is ludicrous. I'm all about getting myself in the right mind frame and motivation and speaking things into existence and believing wholeheartedly the importance of home field advantage. It will be a spectacle up there. It will be a sellout. It will be magical. But at the same time, you can't tell me with a clear mind, full heart, and a straight face that this is the best formula for you to win if you're Buffalo. Black Daniels reminding everybody that Project Pat played college ball in Maine. Does he have an advantage? Look, to me, Pat Ricard is always at the advantage. Because not only of the way that Baltimore uses him, but the fact that we're talking about a 6'3", 300-plus pound fullback who's able to catch the ball, who's a king blocker, and who the Ravens use in these jumbo packages in the most ferocious ways. Not to mention his running mate, sometimes who's in the same backfield, is 6'3", 250-plus pounds, and a guy that Lamar now refers to as Lightning McQueen because of his ability to get downhill. And once he does get downhill, reach 20-plus miles an hour, and that is the king, Derrick Henry. So, Spencer, I'm all for it. I appreciate it. I enjoy it. But you can't tell me that you feel like in your heart of hearts, that's the best formula for you guys to have a chance to get to the AFC Championship game. Several super chats have come in. Captain Hard says, referring back to Roquan's words from earlier on, he was saying it's simple for them to keep doing what they've been doing and not change who they've been. Asmodeus, who was just up in Western New York this past weekend, when I was in New York, fans were giving me little man syndrome. Hey now, easy with that, Richard. You know my roots. Unless you're talking about Western New York, which is very different than upstate New York, I'll let it slide. So just let me know. D. Isaiah T. Billings Clyde says, if we're fabricating bulletin board material, I'm putting it out there that Josh Allen said Lamar Jackson is one of the slowest people he's ever seen. D. Isaiah is making sure, like Buffalo Fanatics did earlier on in the show, kind of taking Roquan's words out of context during his interview last night with NFL Network to do exactly that. Put some words into different context or put some words in guys' mouths. That's exactly what he's doing. Nothing is below the belt on a weekend like this, don't you think? Anything and everything is on the table in a do-or-die postseason game with an AFC Championship berth on the line, legacies on the line. We know what's on line. We know is what's at stake coming into this game. Tonight is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage, and I cannot stress enough, if you guys are looking to get your home buying process started, if you're looking to help out the channel, if you want to learn more about what's going on at Primary Residential Mortgage, highly encourage you to click on that link that's at the top of the show notes. It's right there in the video description. You can turn your tax refund into a new home. Primary Residential Mortgage has a wide variety of loans requiring little to no down payment. Your tax refund could cover it all. You could use it to cover closing costs, pay down existing debt, pay for upgrades to your existing home to increase its value. Primary Residential Mortgage, on top of all of that, is willing to cover your closing costs up to $750 for applications that are submitted by February 9th of 2025. That is about 3 weeks away. One of you, aka Dave, no last name Dave, I refer to him as, recently took advantage of this incredible offer. And as a result, he is already on his way, I should say, to a new home. So don't miss out. People are actively taking advantage of this incentive. You should consider doing so as well. You can apply through the PRMI Mid-Atlantic website today. Just mention my name as you go throughout your application process. And again, all of this is available to you right now, whether you're in the Maryland area or not, by clicking on the link that's included in the show notes, right at the top of the video description. You can get started today. I've had a tremendous experience partnering up with Primary Residential Mortgage, and I think you will as well if you give it a shot. Over 807 this is that time of the day where my English starts to go, apparently. There are over 870 of you tonight joining me concurrently. Please like the video on the way in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I'm dropping my daily live content. Richard, clarifying his previous comment, was referring to specifically Buffalo fans. Thank you, Richard. Winstone's Chronicles writes, people seem to be forgetting it's not Lamar against Josh. It's the quarterbacks versus the other team's defense, and I'm banking on our defense. What if I told you that a couple months ago? Would you be banking on Zach Orr's defense then? Certainly not. And doesn't that speak to the beautiful part of football? You can rewrite your narrative. You can rewrite your season and change things around on the drop of a dime. And that's exactly what the Ravens did from week 10, week 11 out, when significant personnel changes were made, when really this defense took on a completely new image. And it started, of course, with benching Marcus Williams. It then followed with letting Eddie Jackson go. They demoted Trenton Simpson, asked more of Chris Board and Malik Harrison. You continued to get contributions up front from the savvy Kyle Van Noy. Odafe Owe had a double-digit sack season to go along with it. You were getting interior push and pressure by Michael Pierce, Justin Matabike, and the boys. I mean, it's all three levels have benefited from change, and I think more so than anything else, obviously it starts and ends with the passing defense, which went from their Achilles heel to something that's a really respectable unit. And that's exactly what they come into Buffalo in this do-or-die divisional round weekend at. That is where they are currently as a defense. Tell you what, let me check real quick. Over 900 of you concurrently joining me right now. Let me just make sure if Brian Snyder will still be popping on to talk about the Be More Around Town experience. Haven't seen anything from him just yet, which means we can move forward. All right. I think you're going to enjoy this new topic right here. When the Ravens acquired Derrick Henry on day 2 of free agency back in March, you started to see, hear, and talk about the comparison to Kobe and Shaq, right? Being that Lamar and Derrick were teaming up with one another. And while that was something that was talked about a lot within the fan base and sometimes certain media outlets as well, I remember a few of the national folks making that comparison along the way. It certainly hits different when a current player on the opponent side of things, in a sense, makes a similar comparison. And that is exactly what Bills defensive tackle Deion Dawkins did. And when I say Deion Dawkins, it's not Deion Dawkins. Let's actually reset that. Got to reset the whole thing. Reset the whole open. You know how it goes. Let's get another super chat in here so I can get my thoughts together. This is what goes. This is what happens when you're working all day long around the clock. This is postseason. This is January. Deion Dawkins is not a defensive tackle. Get it together, Bobby. You can do it, bud. Winstone's Chronicles writes, I never doubted our defense. They have always carried us. Now, let's see. They have always carried us, and now the offense has finally balanced it out. Look, there were a lot of people doubting this defense when you go back early on. A lot of people were doubting the 32-year-old Zach Orr. A lot of people were doubting what Marcus Williams was, deservedly so. But you know what, though? And I said it then, and I'll say it now. I thought Zach Orr deserved a chance to turn this thing around. And when they made the decision to bring in Dean Pease and make those personnel adjustments, make cuts, make benchings, so on and so forth, to me, Zach was deserving of patience. And I think John Harbaugh, given his track record, is deserving of patience as well. He's earned the opportunity to have in-season patience. And I get it. If they lose in the divisional round, there will be lots of calls for his head. That's how this business goes. He's the second longest tenured head coach in this league. I think he's earned the right to see this Lamar Jackson experiment. It's much more than an experiment now. It was an experiment years ago. But to see the Lamar era through to a certain extent, unless things go south quickly. And we can have that conversation down the line, should they lose this upcoming weekend. But I think that patience really paid off. And for those of you who are willing to have that kind of patience, look at it now. Look at where they stand now. And so that's the way that I view a lot of the doubts, a lot of the noise that we covered extensively. And some of that came from our show. I can remember plain as day, a video going live that we went with, what do the Ravens do with defensive coordinator Zach Orr? Well, what they started by doing was making significant changes around him. And then it became a trickle-down effect, and it became contagious. And here you have it. In mid-January, this team has as good of a shot as anyone left in the field to go take it. To go take it in New Orleans. But they got more work to do. And that is that. As I was saying, when the Ravens went ahead and invested in Derrick Henry and acquired him on day 2 of free agency back in March, you started to hear the Kobe and Shaq comparisons, that label being attached to Lamar and Derrick. And a lot of that was in the fan base. You would see certain photo shoots. You'd see certain collages. You'd see a lot of, what's the right word for it either? Anyway, it's God, can't even get through this. What do they call it when you're putting together? Help me out. My mind is mush. Not collage, but it's like, when you put a whole photo together, what is it? Photoshop. Get it together, bro. Photoshop. Memes, yes. Live chat's helping me out because I'm in mush mode. We're going to go ahead and reset one final time. I promise I can do this. I know I can do it. You're a big boy. You're a big boy. Don't quote that. Don't clip that. All right, off we go. I know Tilly's looking at me right now across the way from my futon where she likes to lay and hang with me during my streams, and she's looking at me like, "You can get it out. You can do it, Bubby. You can do it, bud. You can do it." Okay, I know. I could do it. Okay, here we go. I'm even going to give myself a 3-2-1 like I would if I wasn't even live right now. Amazing. This is probably what happens when you're like live streaming literally all day and you're in front of a camera literally all day and you don't sleep literally all week. This is what I have to get. This is what I get. Somewhere Dre Dog's like, enough with the ghost energy, bro. This is you. This is you that's doing it to yourself. And you know what, Dre? You're probably right. With that said, when the Ravens went ahead and acquired Derrick Henry on day 2 of free agency back in March, a lot of the Kobe and Shaq comparisons began. And a lot of that was within the fan base. You would see AI shopped images. You would see photoshopped images. You would see collages. You would see so on and so forth. And I get it. Shaq, big dude during his time in the NBA, for sure. And Derek, not exactly your average running back size. 6'3", 250 plus. We all know that. And there's something about the Mamba mentality that Lamar has often showcased throughout his career, particularly in these last couple seasons. Last year, it was locked in. This year, it kind of feels like it's been defiant Lamar. And eventually that made its way up to the national shows, and you would just see and hear about those comparisons, right? It hits different when the opponent makes a similar comparison. And that is exactly what Bills defensive tackle Ed Oliver did earlier today during his media availability, specifically, though, talking about Lamar Jackson and the late, great Kobe Bryant. And his defensive line coach was the one, he was just relaying a story, or in this case, an analogy shared by his defensive line coach. And I actually really enjoyed this. I'll be curious to see and hear what you guys have to say on the other end. Here is Ed Oliver talking about Lamar Jackson.
Difficult it is to deal with a guy like Lamar, where the play is never over. Kind of like Josh, for that matter.
Our coach had coach said something that really stuck with me, and he was like, he's like Kobe Bryant, and like how you can't necessarily stop Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's gonna get his at some point, and that was a great analogy. Lamar's gonna get his at some point, and we know that, and everybody knows that, and everybody watching knows that. We just have to limit him, but he's gonna get his. We all know that. We all aware. We're not ignorant to the fact, but he is. Matt, our D-line coach, kind of made that analogy. He like Kobe, he gonna get his, So, he basically, what he said was he's a one-off player, basically kind of like Kobe, and Kobe's gonna get his. You can try to limit him, but at some point, Kobe's gonna get him.
Bills defensive tackle Ed Oliver relaying something that Buffalo's defensive line coach told him, and you heard the quote. Our coach said something that really stuck with me. He's like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's going to get his at some point. And that was a great analogy. Lamar's going to get his at some point, and we know that, and everybody watching knows that. I got to tell you, there is some similarities that you can actually use these words for Josh Allen. I get the sense that he will get his, to use Ed's words or his coach's words, at some point on Sunday night. But for Lamar, he's inevitable. He will always find a way to get his, and that's what makes him so incredibly unique. As a precision passer, he's proven that he will find a way to get his. As a runner, as an extender, an elite generational extender of plays, he will find a way to get his, right? Up at the line of scrimmage, the way that he's studying you, the way that he's manipulating you, the way that he's using his check down, right? His security blanket in Mark Andrews. Maybe it's Isaiah Likely. He's going to find a way to get his. And while doing so, Baltimore finds a way to get its. And the two go hand in hand. And I like that analogy right there. And there were plenty of them. Plenty of Buffalo Bills on both sides of the ball talking all about who Lamar Jackson is and what the strategy has to be in order to find a way past Baltimore, including former Super Bowl MVP Von Miller, who played sparingly in that Week 4 matchup on Sunday Night Football and the first time these two teams met. Here's what Von had to say on the Rich Eisen show earlier this week.
How does one defend him from your position, Von?
Lamar Jackson is a very, very unique player. There's no other quarterback in the history of the game that has played quarterback like Lamar Jackson. A great combination of running ability and passing ability. He's gotten a lot better passing the ball. He's one of the elite passers in the league. He's one of the elite runners in the league. It's lightning in the bottle. Sometimes you get rookie quarterbacks that they get afraid back there and they take off running. You can see him really dancing in the pocket as well. He's trusting his offensive lineman. He'll drop back, step up, drop back out, step back up, find an open guy, buy time. And he's truly an elite player. I'm a fan of Lamar Jackson. We still got to go out there and play the game.
Noticed Anthony Brown was signed to the practice squad. He's playing Lamar against you? Is that what is happening right now? in
Yeah,
practice?
he's gonna be a shade of Lamar. He's gonna be a shade of Lamar. He's gonna be a shade of Lamar. We can't get the full color, but he'll do a great job for us on the scout team.
Well played there from Vaughn. A shade of Lamar. Nobody's truly, and with all due respect to Anthony Brown, nobody is simulating Lamar Jackson. We've heard that from opponents for 7 years now. And I loved what Vaughn had to say there at the end. No. Anthony Brown, former Ravens QB, was brought into Buffalo as their scout team quarterback. He signed the practice squad this week. So, not only his familiarity with Lamar being his teammate, but just some of the similarities in style. Again, not in the same stratosphere. And this is in no way do I want to slight Anthony Brown. It's just Vaughn kind of pumped the brakes here. Now, wait a second here. He's going to be a shade of Lamar to try and prepare us accordingly for Sunday night. He also said, quote, "There is no other QB in the history of the game that has played quarterback like Lamar. He's one of the elite passers in the league. He's one of the elite runners in the league. It's lightning in a bottle. He's truly an elite player, and I am a fan of Lamar Jackson." Well, you also heard there the Anthony Brown nugget, and Bills head coach Sean McDermott talked a little bit about his approach to not only bringing him in, but how they will conceptually try to simulate Lamar's game in an effort to be prepared. Good luck come Sunday night at 6:30.
There's only one Lamar Jackson at the end of the day. So you do the best you can to try and simulate it. Good luck.
Brown.
Anthony Brown. Yeah, Anthony Brown helps with that. Yeah.
That explains that move.
It's probably bigger than that, but that's certainly helps. I mean, the full answer is if you just put a mobile person back there when you're planning on working on the scrambles or the quarterback run game, the defensive players know, this is one of those plays, right? If you just have to sub out one of our normal quarterbacks for a mobile player like that. So, in order to hide that, what Anthony brings to the table is both. He can throw it, he can run it, and so there's a little bit more of I guess a true, honest look down in and down out, whether he's handing it off, dropping back, or doing some of the things conceptually, at least that Lamar does.
Appreciate the candidness there from Sean McDermott. He's had a lot of success, of course, during his time at the helm in Buffalo. And as Sal tweeted out here at Sal Sports from the Buffalo Beat, quote, "Great insight from Sean McDermott on how a quarterback like Anthony Brown versus a different player on the roster can at least help prepare the defense in a week like this." And Sean was quoted for saying, "If you just put a mobile person back there planning on scrambles, the defense knows it's one of those plays." So in order to hide that, what Anthony brings is both. He can throw it and run it, a true honest look, down in and down out. Well, the reality is nobody, as he mentioned there is only one Lamar Jackson. Nobody can truly simulate him, which puts him at such a unique advantage time and time again, particularly when it comes to NFC opponents. And I know all of you are hoping for one more opponent from the NFC being on the Ravens schedule this year. Maybe, just maybe, that'll take place, and you already know what that means. They'll have ended their season one way or the other in New Orleans come February 9th. As for Todd Monken, Ravens offensive coordinator, who of course is a hot commodity right now, he just finished up his second regular season as Baltimore's play caller. He is someone who wants to be looked at by a number of different vacancies and organizations who have vacancies at their head coach position. And as Albert Breer noted just a short while ago, Todd Monken is interviewing with the Jaguars tonight. That's Thursday, the 16th of January, for those of you who aren't watching live. And the Chicago Bears tomorrow. Noteworthy that he is originally from just outside of Chicago. Breer goes on to write that Monken was one of the names that Chicago discussed early on in their research. So he's been on that radar for a while, and that'll just be something to watch. A lot of you were mentioning, and I could see it in the live chat earlier today, how dare he do these interviews right here and right now? Well, the problem is that's just the way the system works in the NFL. That's how interviewing works, unfortunately. And if you're still in it, like the way the Ravens are, your hands are tied. And so these are virtual interviews. It's my understanding that you actually don't prepare for them. They don't require preparation. It's more so a conversation. And then from there on, especially for teams like the Ravens and like this candidate in Todd Monken, you're obviously preparing for games. So it's not to say that this is taking something out of his day or keeping him away from the task at hand. This is just how it goes year in and year out. And Jeremy Fowler noted from ESPN that it's been a 4-year heater for Monk. I mean, think about this. In 2021, he led Georgia, the Georgia Bulldogs, to a national title, and they were a top 10 offense. In 2022, they went back-to-back, another title and a top 5 offense. 2023, Lamar MV2 last year and a top 5 scoring offense. And of course, this year, a generational season offensively across the board. And it all starts with Lamar, 45 total touchdowns and the number 1 ranked offense in terms of total metrics. So yeah, of course, folks are going to want to speak with him. He's a great football mind. He's awesome with the media. And as a result, he's got at least 3 teams that are interested in at least potentially talking about his services. Jacksonville, Chicago, and Vegas. Albert Breer says he's interviewing tonight with Jacksonville, tomorrow with Chicago. And here's what he had to say earlier today, and I'll read this in full. Bo Smoka put up the transcription. Kyle Barber asked him, there are reports that you're taking head coach interviews today and tomorrow. When Ravens fans see that, they panic about, is he focused on the other job? Is he focused here? What's your response to the worries or concerns that fans have when they see these reports? And I love Todd's answer. And I typically do love Todd's answers when it comes to media. Well, first of all, I'll just say this. As I said last week, it's a compliment to this organization, our players and our coaches, that other organizations have an interest in myself or any of our coaches. That's just a fact. That's how it goes. Any of the work that I needed to do for any interviews that were going to come up during the season, I did in the offseason. So all of my focus last week was on the Steelers, and all of my focus this week is on the Bills. I love the job that I have. I really do. And I have a great job here. The way the system is set up is unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I'm excited to play the Bills. That's where my mind's at. That is the full quote from Todd Monken earlier today when asked about these interview requests, and specifically these interviews, one of which could be going on literally right now as we are live with Jacksonville. And tomorrow will be Chicago. So again, it isn't heavy preparation. It's very much preliminary conversations. It is virtual. There's no travel that's required. And I would guess, being that these guys spend all their time in the building as it is this time of year, it's probably just in a conference room right around the corner from his office, or maybe even in his office. So I don't think it's really something to truly worry about. That's the latest on Todd Monken. Here's the latest on the Ravens' overall health. It looks exactly the same way that it did on Wednesday. Zay Flowers, a DNP, as he has been for 5 consecutive practices since injuring his knee to go back to the regular season finale against Cleveland. John Harbaugh did mention earlier this week that there's a chance, for whatever it's worth, even if he doesn't practice all week long, there is still a chance for him to be available and play. Feels as if it's a long shot. It was described as an outside chance last week by Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. And really nothing concrete throughout this week. For whatever it's worth, Todd Monken mentioned that he is hopeful that Zay will play. But again, I'm not going to hold my hat or hang my hat on any of those kind of words this week. There's a lot of gamemanship involved. There's probably still a lot of uncertainty involved as well on the back end medically for Zay Flowers. Deontay Hardy, who's been banged up with a knee himself, has been a full participant all week long. He's their wide receiver and return specialist. I have no idea whether or not they would go back to him at this point, this late in the year, given how unavailable and banged up he's been for weeks now, if not months. But damn it, if they feel like they're unsettled at punt returner right now, which I think they are, given the issues they've had with Sims and King and Tylen, all of whom have gotten reps there in recent weeks, then maybe, just maybe, they go back to the veteran in Deontay Hardy. We've seen stranger things. As far as Pittsburgh, as far as Buffalo's concerned, yeah, their list is more lengthy, but they're just as healthy, if not more healthy. Ray Davis and Alec Anderson were the only two players on this list that were limited. Everybody else was a full go. Ray is dealing with a concussion. He's a reserve running back for them. And Alec Anderson's one of their offensive linemen. So aside from Zay, honestly, both teams really, really healthy going into divisional round weekend. Isn't that just the way you want it? A do or die postseason game. That's exactly what's coming up. It's in Buffalo. And as I've told you now for multiple days, there are still opportunities to go to Buffalo. You want to be a part of this spectacle. You want to be a part of what the game of the century. I don't know, people are that seems a little bit hyperbolic, but there are people that are literally viewing this as, given the magnitude of the moment, given the front runner MVP candidates, given what's at stake, they're anticipating this to be one of the best divisional games of all time in NFL postseason history. So with that in mind, the perfect segue to bring in my guy, the owner of Be More Around Town, somebody who has opened up a ton of different opportunities for me throughout my time in this independent space, this non-traditional media space. We had a tremendous time in London last fall. I've worked every single home game, pregame show, tailgate at 801 West Austin Street for the last 2 seasons. And now we're going back on the road together, coming up on Saturday morning. I know you're fired up about it. Welcome in, brother.
What's going on, sir? How are you?
Good to see you, Bri. What's going on?
Good. Got to drop one for the people. Baltimore.
Give it to them.
Let's
go.
Not as hyped as my game day Baltimore, but it'll be. I'm saving the voice for this weekend. Gonna have a lot of those in me.
I was going to say, deservedly so. You better, because it's going to be a jam-packed week. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the screen right now so you can walk us through what you have available, because you just opened up a day trip opportunity for folks. It was originally going to be, sort of a 2-night all-in type thing. But clearly, you and I haven't chatted in a day or so. So clearly, there's a lot of interest. One, you opened up the day trip, and you have the tailgate-only experience for those of folks that maybe are in the area. Maybe they're living up in central New York, western New York, upstate New York, and they want to come in for the day. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So
okay.
We're kind of up in the air about, did we want to do a day trip up and back? It's a lot to take on. We've gotten quite a few requests, and the demand was there, so we decided to open it up this morning. Super last minute. We had filled all of our 2-night excursions in Buffalo, so we decided to go ahead and open that opportunity up. I think I'd be lying to you if I didn't say it's a long day. You can look at the schedule and see, but it is the opportunity for people that don't have it in their schedule. First of all, it's a financial, it is a lot less than the 2-night trip. In addition, people that don't have the time to be able to get away for that type of trip last minute. So, we've filled 30 of the seats already. So we have 20 more seats to go. Probably we'll get through most of those tonight. Assume the rest will finish out tomorrow morning. But going to be a great opportunity to get up there and see this game. I mean, I personally haven't had a chance to see the national media, but I assume they got to be drooling all over this game.
Oh, you've been locked the hell in. Getting ready for this trip, and then that leaves Sarah and I to comb through all the national media. So I can promise you there has been anything and everything that's being discussed about this game. So the fact that it's no surprise that you're opening these up and they're going quickly. So right now I'm showing you a screen. I'm showing the audience here. We got 1,200 plus concurrently joining us right now. This is BeMoreAroundTown.com. This is where you can get your tickets. This is where you can book everything for the weekend. Anything else that you want to push, being that, again, it's BeMoreAroundTown.com. I'll link to that in the show notes. You can also find Brian on Instagram at BeMoreAroundTown. What can people expect for maybe those that are up in just up in that area and they want to come in for the tailgate? What can they expect from that experience?
Yeah, so we have 2 opportunities. One is Saturday night, opening the doors to all Ravens fans that are in Buffalo, whether or not you're doing events with us throughout the weekend or not. The Rec Room, downtown Buffalo on Chippewa. We're going to open up the doors at 8 p.m. to Ravens fans. We have drink specials. We have DJ Buddha, who has done a few of our tailgates coming up from Baltimore. Bobby, I think you're going to be broadcasting from the party as well.
Well, let me just say this. I think I'm going to broadcast like 10 hours this weekend between post-game live stream Saturday night. It's going to feel like London all over again.
Hey, and you know what? The people that cannot make it, make sure you guys tune in because Bobby will be definitely covering all the fun we'll be having up there. But yeah, so that Saturday night, again, if you're in Buffalo, if you're with us or not with us, check us out. That's going to be at, like I said, Rec Room, Chippewa Street, start at 8 p.m. And then on Sunday, we have our all-inclusive tailgate, trying our best to mimic what we do in Baltimore. It's hard to do on the road, but we do our damn best to do it. We got a 3.5 hour tailgate, bringing in a fairly large tent that we're going to put some heaters in, try to get whatever type of warmth we can get in the tundra of Buffalo and that lake effect. So, you know, first of all, that's not an easy task, is doing that tenting on a road trip. But
Yeah.
you know, our goal is to make sure everybody's comfortable as could be, and gonna make it a great tailgate. We got DJ Buddha. We have a delicious menu, going to be catered by Danny South up in Buffalo, in Orchard Park, and we're gonna have wings. We're gonna have beef on weck. You know, kind of doing the Buffalo favorites, get everybody the authenticity of the town. You know, open bar, DJ. I think you're broadcasting live from that as well.
Yep.
Some tailgate games. Obviously, Thunderstruck. I know you've experienced that a few times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, here's a perfect candidate right here, too. Diesel Doctor chiming in the live chat. He says, I'm a Ravens fan from Syracuse, deep in enemy territory. Deez, maybe, I know it's like 2 hours to Buffalo, Diesel, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe you pop over for this tailgate experience. Maybe you're a perfect candidate for that.
yeah. How do you not come out? I mean, I know it's hard to give up the warmth of the home to go out to that, but it's going to be a great experience, and especially if we can pull this game off.
I was going to say, and Deez, it's not every day that I'm going to be broadcasting in Western New York. I mean, maybe it'll happen again next year, assuming these two teams are always going to be in it. But it sounds like you got a lot going on, Brian. I'm looking forward to, we're going to be not wheels up, but our wheels are going to start moving north early on Saturday. And then, like you said, it's Rec Room on Saturday night. And then it's Danny's, you said, on Sunday evening?
So our tailgate party will be in the parking lot of Danny's South. We'll have a tented space is where our kind of quarantine space is going to be. People that are driving in, they'll be selling parking on the lot the day of as well. But yeah, so it's basically show up, let us take care of you. Hospitality is going to be there. You know how our events are, so it's as turnkey as can be for you.
Right now, guys, I have a pinned comment that I just placed in the live chat with the direct link to everything that we're discussing right now. So if you want to consider it, still last-minute opportunities, so much so that Brian's been working around the clock to open up a day trip, chance to go to Buffalo. And while that's a long day, like you said, this could be a generational kind of game that years from now, people look back and they're like, yeah, we were there. Like when you watch the highlights, yeah, we were there. We were frozen, but we were there. So
actually, I just brought this up today. 12 years ago, divisional game, coldest game I've ever been to in my life, in Denver. Jacoby Jones. That was 12 years ago. Everyone's going with the 12s. Jacoby 12 years apart. Lamar 28.
Yeah.
Tilfer, all that. They're saying that this home record could be one of the coldest games in Ravens history, going up against that game. And I don't know if it's an omen or what, but here we are, divisional round, going into Buffalo, one of the coldest games, mimicking what we did in 2012, 2013. It's always hard to figure out how they say these dates because you're still in last year's form. So
yeah, I think the way they've done it is, of course, February 2013 was the title, but it's the 2012 season, so they're going 12. That's why they're going, 2012 to 2024. And it's funny you bring that up. You're jogging my memory to this past weekend's tailgate for a wild card when you had the tents and whatnot, and you brought C-Mac over for me. And I'm telling Chris McAllister about those things, right? I'm telling him about the 12 years. I'm telling him about the 28, Trent and Joe and Lamar's 28. And he's just looking at me mind blown. Like, he must be a superstitious dude because he's looking at me like, what? I'm like, where you been? That's been everywhere. You must have been living under a rock.
After I suckered T-Mac into coming out to Baltimore for that Pittsburgh game, I didn't have the heart or the audacity to try to get him up to Buffalo. So.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, what we're doing is we're working around the clock to plan the potential of what next weekend could be, whether that's a potential home game or a potential trip to Kansas City. We're going to have all of that ready to roll as soon as the Ravens hopefully beat up on the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
And, or I guess I'll be in Cancun. So
I was going to say you and everybody else on the team, right? But that's a good reminder too, that, just for future purposes, that once the Orioles start up, I know you're going to be doing some spring training visits down to Sarasota. The Caps are obviously in full swing right now. And so, long story short, you got a lot other events that you offer outside of just Baltimore Ravens related stuff. So
yeah, no, absolutely. So doing our best to keep as busy as could be, and looking forward to hosting as many people as we can. Always love when we have some of your listeners out. I always have to laugh because they come up to me and so, the front desk, they'll be like, hey, so and so is looking for you, and I go up there and I'm like, never met you, and they're like, we need to know where Bobby's at. And I was so you could have asked the front desk on where Bobby's at. You gotta to ask for me, but it's always appreciate the listeners coming out. I know we have quite a few listeners that do our tailgate regularly, and if you're up in Buffalo, make sure you guys come out and see us Saturday night at Rec Room or Sunday at our Purple Tailgate Party. You can lock into the Purple Tailgate Party at bemorearoundtown.com. I want to say we can only sell about 50 more passes for the tailgate.
Okay.
And then, if you're in Baltimore, we're departing from Catonsville and White Marsh on Sunday morning and driving straight through into Buffalo. And going to be a great day.
And just so everybody sees, these are your pricing options right here. Tailgate only. $99 gets you in for all-inclusive, everything that Brian mentioned earlier on that he's got available for you. The bus and the tailgate, you want to pop up for the day and be involved and maybe go watch the game, right? This isn't the theory that you'd be watching the game from like a sports bar, right? Is that?
You could do that, or some people have their own tickets, or some people have their own preference on where they sit. So
okay, yep, $289, and then you got different ticket options between upper and lower level for different prices. $550 for the upper level, and then lower is lower level considered like an M&T Bank lower bowl option?
Yeah, lower bowl, 100 level.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. So everything's right there for the taking, guys. And along those lines of listeners coming up to you and whatnot, I had to give some shit to Cole Jackson. He never found me last week. Cole comes down from Canada. We're out in Fed Hill the night before, and then yet he doesn't come on the show. So all of a sudden, now him and his boys are coming down from freaking son of a, what town is he from? Not Montreal. Of course, I'm gonna forget now. But anyway, he's coming down from Canada. And I was like, listen, you're on my shit list. I expect you to have a second headset with me for at least 20 minutes to make up for last week.
Yeah. Hey, and we got one of the cool things. I don't know if you got a chance to meet Edgar. I don't know if you saw my bling that I wear around. Edgar runs the Mexico flock. And
nice.
He had flown up from Mexico for the game last weekend, and had so much excitement that he didn't go back home. He stayed, and now he's jumping on the bus to Buffalo with us. So he's doing the Buffalo trip, and then he's turning around and heading back home from there. So he extended his stay just because, the excitement around the Ravens. He was like, I'm not ready to go back yet. So
that is incredible.
Last week we had we had the Mexico flock. We had we had Ben from the UK.
Remind me about the German that everybody was loving.
Julian, yeah. Julian the German, he said. He was so excited, and the hospitality he received in Baltimore was amazing. So we had Germany, we had London, we had Canada, we had Mexico. It's kind of cool to see the world come together to support the Ravens on this.
Heck yeah. And dude, it's crazy too. Like that's what I came back from London with. Like the overarching takeaway, aside from the win, the experience, the opportunity to travel, so on and so forth, was how global this team has become. And I think Lamar has a lot to do with that. So anyway,
he's exciting to watch. And, I said it earlier. I saw a post that said Lamar's 5-0 since his mom cussed him out.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's in that ass this week because we need him to stay on whatever edge of seat he's been on and hit that go button.
For real.
I can tell you one thing. I don't know how much fun that's going to be getting hit in that weather this weekend.
That's what I'm saying. We just played a clip earlier on in the stream from Spencer Brown, who's one of their offensive tackles, and he's saying that he wants like 8 degrees, 3 feet of snow, and 40-mile-an-hour winds. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, you should go chat on the other side of your facility with your defensive teammates and ask them if they agree, because when 6'3", 250-pound Derrick Henry is coming at you downhill, you might think different.
Hey, don't forget of our wild card that's been a little Swiss Army knife is Justice Hill.
Justice has been he's been a man. The fact that they extended him prior to the year isn't talked about enough. He's here for the foreseeable future, and he's not just like, he's a great blitz pick-upper. The dude's a pass catcher, screen game, check downs. I mean, they got just one of many arsenals.
I mean, I think we gave him like a 2-year, $5 million or something, whatever it was. And I kind of questioned. I'm like, Justice Hill, how's this guy still on the team? I know he's got a good special teams presence. He had a special teams presence, and they never really utilized him. And then this year, all of a sudden, it was like out of nowhere, Justice Hill, and I'm like, wow, what a deal we made on that one.
Oh, and people forget too that like he's only a couple of years removed from like a serious Achilles tear. You'd never even know it out there. The way he cuts, his burst, he's just a smart, savvy player. He's what Keith Mills and I used to refer to, and I actually learned this from Millsy. He refers to guys like that, like Ricard and other guys on special teams, as glue guys. They're willing to do whatever it takes to win. They're not going to show up in the stat sheet all the time. They're high character guys, and that's exactly what Justice is.
No, absolutely.
But all right, brother. Well, hey, looking forward to traveling with you, and everybody can, like I said, get started right now if you want to get some last minute planning done for Buffalo. There's a link that's right now pinned in the live chat as a comment, and you can get started at bemorearoundtown.com. Thanks, Brian.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk. I'll see you on Saturday, and hope to see some of you listeners up there this weekend.
Bright and early, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Brian Snyder from Be More Around Town has been a really great partner for me over the last couple of years. He's believed in what I'm building. He's allowed me to be at his tailgates, have a presence at his tailgates, go to London with him. It's just tremendous experience. And honestly, the way that he takes care of you when you're on the road, meaning whether you're overseas with him or whether you're traveling with him, in this case, it's second to none. It's a first-class experience, and I cannot wait to do it again. So please, if you're interested in doing this and being part of this experience, bemorearoundtown.com. It's a pinned comment right now. You can get started, and hey, maybe you'll be on the bus with me on the way up there. If they win, it's going to be one of the wildest Monday postgame shows, like day after postgame shows that we've ever done, because I'm going to be on the bus during the show. I kid you not. I'm going to be on the bus throughout the entire show. So that should be a show in itself. Moneybag with a super chat from a little while ago when I was talking about Todd Monken says, where's the loyalty, Monken? It's just the business, baby. You know how it goes, money. What's up, Bobby? From Isaiah C278 says, what's up, Bobby? Did you ever catch glimpses of Kobe and Shaq? Oh, yeah. I remember growing up and watching that duo, man. They were, what a duo. What a explosive duo. What a fun duo. Their time in LA took the league by storm, and just there'll never, ever be a duo like that again. Any chance I get for a little NBA, NFL crossover, I'm taking it. What has been going on in the live chat tonight? What's the deal? Chris, what's going on? I got to get after somebody, Chris? Oh, Zone. Speaking of that Wi-Fi, I literally just bought a high-end hotspot for that exact ride. It was like $250 for a sweet hotspot. If it doesn't work, I'm going to get pissed. By the way, what's going on here with Chris? Is somebody fucking with Chris? Is that what's going on here? Who is it? I got to go all the way back up. I haven't been paying attention because I've been interviewing Brian. What the hell is going on out there, Chris? You know, I don't put up with that. Where's he at? Oh, Rob fell in love with me. He's a Bills fan. Okay, so it sounds like it's all good then. All right. Good. You know, it's an open. Everything's open. I'm happy to have Bills fans here. I'm happy to have Steelers fans here. It's wide open. More the merrier, because obviously I know you guys don't want them in the chat, but selfishly, it grows the channel. I want more people to realize what we got building here. Okay, with that, I got to go to dinner and do a ton of different things for this weekend. So I appreciate you guys as always. You're the best. Cannot wait. Shout out to everybody involved in this chat, everybody involved in growing this channel. If you're interested in helping out, which is just simple stuff on the way out, it helps out from an algorithm perspective. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. If you'd like to donate in areas that are outside of Super Chats, you can do so through Venmo or Cash App or the YouTube Super Chat feature, as always. We have another giveaway coming up on Sunday. Why do I keep going to the Steelers? Ravens-Bills preview coming up tomorrow at 12:30 with former NFL wide receiver Steve Tasker, who's been kind enough to spill out some time for us. So looking forward to all that and more. I appreciate you guys more so than anything else. It's a big weekend. We are balls to the walls right now. Much more to come. Thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage for the love. Go get your tickets at BeMoreAroundTown.com for our weekend, and I will catch up with you soon. Later.